Well, when you're investing in anything, you ought to be thinking of yourself as pacing yourself for the race. Just like old girl here is going to be going out on a 50-mile cross-country bicycle race ride. It's not going to be something where you want to go all out in the beginning and blow up and not make the race. Now, unless that's your strategy to just do a certain distance, that's a lot less. Now, a lot of people have different strategies in investing, and they have different time frames and stuff. But I think with silver and gold, it's going to be a patient, long-term time frame. You're probably not going to see the final height till 2017, maybe 2018. But in between that time, I think 2014 is going to be a very good year. And we're also going to have some other spikes in this year, too. I know David Morgan, last year, he kind of forecast kind of high $60. But, that wasn't unrealistic. That was not unrealistic because if Netanyahu was very close to he wanted to go to war with Iran. If that happened, gold, silver, and oil would have been much higher for the year. Now, looking at this event that just occurred in Iran where the underground facility blew up, 240 people died or were trapped underground, one of the largest nuclear research facilities blew up. Either maybe not an accident, maybe it was sabotage, maybe it was even an airstrike. Who knows? Iran's denying it, but it's got confirmed. It happened. It happened. It wasn't just a rumor. So actually these things are going to be very bullish for gold and silver. Now as you look at the markets today, they look like they're up right now. I don't know, it's a volatile market. People see it's going down, they're scared out of it, they're scared into it, and whatever the hell it is. But oil's moving up. Oil's first time it's over 97 and a half. I think it's going to go through the 100 mark pretty soon because of this Iranian nuclear facility blowing up recently. It's just going to bring oil up a lot due to tensions in the Middle East, which is bullish for gold and silver. Now, the United States, the red, white, and blue, like old girl here sitting on a bike, red, white, and blue, right? The United States is actually looking to be, what they're doing, the globalists, is to weaken the United States. But, that's not the plan of all the globalists. Some want the United States as a strong center, too. Some, right now, currently looks like what we have in the White House. He's controlled by people who want a very weak United States. And not just George Soros, but also Valerie Zarot, who was actually raised in Iran, too. Not only she's born there, but she was raised in Iran. So has a lot to do with her foreign policy, too. Advisors have a lot to do with the foreign policy, as do money interests. And Obama, I don't know. He's just a puppet. That's what it comes down to. So, I know there's a lot of controversy about what he's going to do and all this type of stuff, but it's a lot of factors involved. But just like on a bike, you gotta be able to pace yourself for the race. Are you a sprinter? Are you a medium-term rider? Or are you in for the long distance? If you're in silver, you probably should be in for the long distance. I say when there's a hard correction, buy on a dipped end, a hard correction. But it's going to be hard to pick the bottom. Right now, people are waiting. Some people are waiting for fishing for a bottom. I don't know if it's going to happen. I know a lot of people are dwelling upon Mark Farber's words, Mark Farber talks about market correction, but he's talking about a 20% equities correction. He's not talking about, going down to 10% of its levels, So, I don't know. Maybe silver can possibly go to 25 or something. I don't know. I don't think so. And the other reason I say this, because Mark Farber says other things, too. I listen to him a lot because I think he actually gives you good advice, but I don't like cherry picking things he says too much and overemphasizing one thing and not not saying what other things he says, because he's afraid to short the markets right now because there's so much money printing. It's not a guarantee the money markets are going down, but what he's doing is buying more and more physical gold every month. Yes, he hopes there'll be one final shakeout, but he doesn't know this. If there's one final shakeout, he'll buy more. There may not be a final shakeout. And I'm going to tell you, there's two more events coming up. Just like old girl on a bike here, red, white, and blue. Well, in the United States, we're going to have the fight over the debt ceiling coming up in April and May, which coincides with Max Kaiser's talk about the doom of the dollar. Now, I don't trust Max Kaiser. That's just my opinion on this guy. He seemed to be working very well with Eric Sprott, with the Buy physical silver, dump, break J.P. Morgan. I didn't like that stuff, but I thought silver was going to go much higher. I didn't like that stuff he was saying, but I just figured silver was going to much higher. I did not expect the crazy correction we've had from 48 down to like 33, then up to 40 something, and down to 26 and 35 or 37 and 26. I didn't expect all this crap. It's crazy, but it's a long-term correction period, and it may do a lot better than the $40 that David Morgan's predicting for this year. But he's not the only one. There's a whole pile of people predicting about $40 for this year, and you need at least that high of a rate for silver, or else the mines aren't going to make money. So just like on a bike race, I've been riding. I always sort of bike. I always liked cardio, endurance, and bicycles. But I look at investment like that too. Are you in a short-term race, a medium-term race, or a long race? And you got to pace yourself. You got to have a strategy. What do you expect to happen? Is one little thing. I mean, if you're riding on this bike, old girl's in this bike here, at a mountain bike, and she's climbing a hill, and there's some rough terrain ahead. And does that mean you quit, or are you sticking with your strategy, or what? I mean, that's why people get washed out. And I'm going to point this out. I do not like any person that has a silver channel that says put all your money into physical silver or else you're going to lose it. I'm going to tell you right now, those people are selling you Dr. BS snake oil to the left and right, because silver's not the only thing in the world you use. It may be true that even if the fiat dollar went to nothing, which I don't think it's going to nothing, say you experienced Zimbabwe inflation. If you had your money invested in silver, gold, fuel, timber, pressure treated stuff that lasts a long time, 30-year food in containers and stuff like that, water processing treatment things, ways to process water or something, actual things you can add it to it, like pool shock, that type of stuff, and you had invested in a lot of stuff like that, and even cigarettes and alcohol, you'd make a lot of money off of that too. So, I mean, maybe physical assets might be the thing, but even so, paper represents physical. That's the only reason paper is worth something. It's not actually, it never ever was claimed that paper was worth something. It represents the thing at work that, that is worth something, and that's what we trade. So whether it's a stock certificate or whatever it's, bond or whatever the hell it is, it still could be worth something. You just got to watch for the underlying asset. In the case of the U.S. dollar, yeah, it does look like it's going down severely. But does that mean you should trade every single dollar for physical silver? No. And people I advise to do that, do not trust them. That's all I got to say. I don't know if I'm probably preaching to the choir on this channel, but there's a lot of people that are trusting people that say all paper assets are going to zero. Actuality, the intrinsic net worth of paper is what it is. Paper. It's always been like that. It's the integrity and honesty of the system. Not everything in the system is wrong. There is honesty in the system in parts. Just that you're going to have to watch for government-backed paper especially. That's going to be the problem. So just like old girl on the bike here, you're in for the long race. Now, I'm expecting that what may happen even earlier on this year, when we say April and May, silver might spike a lot because of the debt ceiling fight. And also that might coincide with the war with Iran. I know it's stupid, the war with Iran has been predicted for years, right? But I don't know, this nuclear facility blowing up underground, and there's a lot more stuff going on. I mean, they got F-22 Raptors within a couple hundred miles of their borders and stuff like that. I mean, they're talking about, upgrading bunker busters and stuff. B-2 is the only one that could fly it out there. It's going to happen. It's going to happen at one time. So that's going to be very bullish for the metals and also silver and oil. So, if you're in these areas, just be patient. Hang on, because it's going to play out. You're just not going to know. I mean, they're not going to announce when this is going to happen. And to tell you the truth, the war with Iran was on a hair trigger a bunch of times already. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. But I think they're running out of patience right now with a lot of this stuff, and it's going to happen one of these days. It just can't go forever. And, when it does happen, you might see silver break through the 50 mark. It may not just test it. It might break through it, and it'd be watching for 75. Now, in my case, I'm going to start selling around 60-something up to where I think it would reset 75. I could be wrong. Maybe it go past that. But when it breaks through 50, you're going to hear every single blogger in the world tell you it's going to $100 or $200. Well, not every single one, but a lot of them. A lot of them. And those guys, I don't trust. I don't trust. Because they're playing and working with other people in the silver market, the physical silver market, and they're designed to rip you off. So, the red, white, and blue is going down. I know that. And, it's like that's the plan of the day. But, who the hell knows? Who the hell knows? There could be people in America might start to wake up, because America's always been a very strong country, and they just might wake up a lot to what's going on, because the people that we actually have in government are a reflection of the voter. And until the voter figures out the deal, things ain't going to change that easily. You just can't force the political system. So sometimes people don't figure things out unless they run into a wall. Then they figure it out. So you really can't preach to a lot of people. That's just how it is. But if you're not in the game, you're not in a race, if you're bottom fishing, you're waiting for the absolute bottom in silver, and you actually don't have the patience to hold on to it, and you don't have the psyche to hold on to the ups and downs, well, you shouldn't be in a race then. That's all there is to it. You don't have to be in a race. It's optional. You're always betting on something, but I would not bet on fiat dollars. It's not because it's paper. It's because the actual government that's printing it is so far in debt, I don't see how that paper could be worth crap in the long run, okay? It's not because it's paper. It's because of what it actually is backed by. Shit, Even if it was just paper and was backed by, no gold or no silver, and the government wasn't such debt and it wasn't adding so much more debt, I could see it holding together for like umpteen years. But it's not the fact that it's paper. It's the fact that the underlying assets behind it, which is actually the full faith and credit of the U.S. government, is going down the tubes fast. So, it's not a matter of paper and physical. Paper, since the dawn of time, it's always represented physical. It's always the integrity of the system. So, but just remember, you're in a long race. You're not in a freaking short race for the most people. And if you want to get in a short race, in other words, you don't spend all your money on silver. You wait. If you see a crazy correction, say it does go down to 22. I don't think it is, but say it did. Then you buy some, and you dump that shit real fast. And you can miss it because, I could be talking like, hey, maybe it goes down to 29. And then it jumps up. Maybe it goes to 25 and it jumps up. And here you're waiting. But say you catch some crazy low, and you have a patient hold of maybe 2 or 3 weeks, you can dump it maybe at a 10 or 20% profit that fast. So that you might want to do. But like I said, this is a long-term race. This is not something that's short-term. And we may see some selling opportunities coming up this year for the same reasons I've been saying all along. But don't be afraid to sell when they say the sky's falling, because I don't think it's going to go straight to 100. And I'm not talking about all of it. I'm talking some of it, because that is speculative. It could go to 100 too. Who the hell knows? I don't think so, though. I don't think it'll go to 100 right away. I think it's going to take to 2014 before it goes to 100. But just like old girl here is preparing for the race, you don't want to freaking go all out into silver and dump all your money into it and bet all your eggs in one basket and that type of stuff. People advise you to do that type of stuff. They're almost like criminal. And they're conscious of what they're saying. They are. They're not stupid. Unfortunately, a lot of the middle class is stupid. They are stupid. And it's like somebody talks to them nice and sweet, and they show them a lot of graphs and charts, and they tell you have to put all your freaking money into physical silver or else you're going to lose everything. They're lying to you. They're full of shit. That's all I got to say. And if you don't like me saying shit, you shouldn't be on my channel. Because I'm telling you right now, I don't want to talk to anybody that buys into nice sweet talk and snake oil. I don't like those kind of people. they're garbage. So just beware. You're in for the long race, and the only way you're going to be in the race is you actually have to buy this stuff. And just remember, it ain't going to be overnight. And at one point in time, I just want to leave you with this: the race is going to be over with. Over with. Silver's not a forever hold. It may take years for it to hit its final peak. And maybe I'm thinking 2017, 2018. And 2014 is going to be another intermediate peak, I'm thinking. And there might be a little spike this year, too, maybe past 50. But, you're not going to hold this silver forever. That's when I think it's a bad thing to do. You might want to hold a little bit of it forever, but I would not hold a significant amount of it forever. I think that would be a major mistake. So some people think it's going to be like a lifetime 50-year hold. Nope. If you want to do that, go ahead. I'm not. So that's all I got to say.